Hey, this is Chris's Comments. How you doing, fellow YouTubers? This show is discussion, common ground, common sense, no matter what the subject. And the reason for this is because of the two current extremities that are going on. One extreme is we're right, you're wrong, they're wrong, and if you don't agree to us, you're ruining the country. You're what's wrong with this country. This country's doomed. It's doomed. The flip side to that is the flip side to the same, but it's still the same extremity, you know. There's right, there's wrong, and we're going to correct the wrongs, and if you don't go along, everything is wrong, and that's what's ruining the country, and this country's doomed. And in between all that, it's people like you and me, down to earth, with really only one thing in common. We like to live happy with as little headaches as possible. That's where this show comes in. This show is not going to be too different from a lot. In fact, it's very ordinary by comparison to so many others out there. But this show's coming out to you from San Antonio, Texas, Central Texas. And I'm just a little guy, just a little peon, no different than anybody else. So, with that, I want to throw out what's happening and what the viewpoints over here, and how everything runs, and what little guys like me are doing in this crazy world with all these viewpoints. So let's get to it. Today, I just want to discuss the review of yesterday's impeachment trial. The first day. The first day, it was exactly as we predicted. The Democrats were sticking to the facts. Insurrection happened. This is what happened leading up to it. This is how it resulted into the insurrection, and this is why we should continue to go on with the impeachment trial. The flip side to that was, you're wrong. This is all wrong. You're what's ruining this country. You say you want peace. You don't want peace. That's all I saw. You say you want bipartisanship. You don't want bipartisanship. You say you love America. You don't love America. Oh my God, it was hilarious. And the flip side to that was the Democrats, where I just couldn't believe what was happening. And it was powerful, don't get me wrong. I was moved by it. I was really moved, you know. And I thoroughly enjoyed all the yelling on the other side of the aisle. It was all very entertaining, you know. It was Yosemite Sam versus, you know, an actual testimony of problems, you know, the crying and the weeping and the shock and awe. And that's really all that took place, but it's what was expected. And from what I'm to understand, the next 16 hours is going to be Democrats giving their testimony once again. If they're lucky, they can get the point across and just engrave it in America's minds, the criminal act that took place. You know, once they start crying and they start doing this shock and awe crap, at a time where we're really not shocked at all. You know, we the little guys, the little people, we're really not shocked at all by the outrageous crap that's being done. But to see our leaders doing this, crying shock and try to pull at our hearts mentality, you know, as a tactic in a court of law. Well, I'm not sure that gets to the point. I'm sure it gets to some Americans, but to those of us here, down to earth people that know right is wrong, and you know, the trick is to make sure that the right finds justice, and that the wrong knows what justice is, and everything. You know, I mean, it's just that plain and simple to us. You know. That's way different for them. They're finding it very difficult to get it done, and we can see why. You know, they're going to theatrics, they're going to scenarios, they're going to sad testimonies, and those are all key things to remember. But what really needs to get done is justice, and I think that's where they keep dropping the ball. They still need to point out the fact that there was criminal acts being done, breaking and entering, violence, a couple of people killed, and it was all done in a part where you could connect the dots, leading all the way back to a lit fire to a rally concerning the person who you want to impeach, the former president. And for some oddball reason, the Democrats just keep dropping the ball. You know, they stick to the crying, they stick to the heart-wrenching testimonies, and they forget to go after the criminal like the way you're supposed to, even if you're not a cop. Being a politician is being involved with the law. You have to uphold it, you have to enforce it, and sometimes you have to make sure that it's carried out. And they just keep dropping the ball. The Republicans, however, they're not dropping the ball. They're not making anything any better, but at the same time, they're not dropping the ball. They're focused, going all over the place. You know, this wasn't an insurrection. Okay, it was an insurrection, but it wasn't done by anybody on our side. It was done by crazy people that chose to do criminal acts. Okay, so they weren't crazy. Yeah, they were wearing Trump shirts, but, you know, Trump didn't tell them to. Okay, well, Trump might have said, we got to fight. Yeah, but, I mean, you know, yeah, do we really have to take everything literally what we said? This is a violation of the freedom. And it goes right back to where it started, or it backtracks back through all those steps all over again of denial and dodge. Which, technically, this is how lawyers and politicians have always operated. These guys the Republicans don't drop the ball on this. They're constantly working the system. And I think the reason why so many people like you and me down here at the bottom of the barrel, at the bottom of the pool, you know, the reason why the shallow end of the pool, we've you know, we're just tired of looking at that being done for them and them only, or their people and their people only, as opposed to for all the people. You know, for all the people, it's, you know, you got the Democrats, that's what you got them for. But they do this so sarcastically. They just don't know how to focus. They don't know how to focus and go right after what they're looking for, the target, you know, with that same determination as the Republicans do, you know, particularly dodging the bullet, you know, stepping outside of the target, moving the target, hiding the target, and just plain diverging and deceiving and distracting people from the target. They're just better at it. And again, it's not so much that that's a shock and awe or whatever. It's just tiring to see them do that, because you know they're just going to go right back to more job layoffs. You know, they're going to hire a couple of people and say that they're doing this fantastic hiring for the employment. And somewhere down the line, they're going to do annual employee reviews where they're going to lay off thousands of jobs all over again. You know, everybody's saying, here's an example. The Biden's green plan, where he's stopping stuff like the Keystone Pipeline. And according to the Republicans and the conservatives and the corporations, millions and millions of jobs, 2 million at the very least, are being canceled and laid off. Which, if you do your fact check, it's only 1.5 million that get hired, and it's through a period of projects throughout various parts of the U.S. And a total of about 100,000 to 300,000 people get laid off around the same time of the year, which makes sense. One oil drill is going to hire an X amount and only take what it needs to get to the next oil drill, while letting go of everybody else at the first oil drill. That's just the way it works. And as far as the new hires over here, in order to make it up to 1.5 million by the end of the year, the way statistically it does, well, you hire some new recruits, but they're not getting paid the same as the previous people. The new recruits are getting paid the minimal that the company does. And that also makes sense given the fact that, there's no regulation stopping them. So you've got this series of hiring people while firing them once they're done with this one particular project, going over to the next project in the same field and doing this great hiring while firing all over again once that project is done. So you get a lot of Republicans and everybody, conservatives, corporate people, and it's not just the oil field. It's not just the oil industry. It's quite a few things. It's to department stores. I won't name them. You know who they are. Grocery stores, movie industry, tourism industry, you name it. If it's a corporation in an industry, they've done it this way for a long time. So for the politicians to go and say, we can't switch things to a New Deal because all these millions and millions of jobs will be lost. Well, that's not technically true. Jobs will be lost, but they'll also be changed over. And this is the stuff that we're just getting really tired of the right from acknowledging. This is the stuff that we're just getting really tired of them saying, you're doomed, you're all doomed. All the way up to this presidential impeachment, which of course it makes sense how they say the freedom of speech and all this stuff. But we are talking about Trump, We are talking about this personality as opposed to a politician with power. Bill Clinton, Bush Jr., waging war in the Middle East for oil. Obama, stopping the war in the Middle East, not stopping, but just stop benefiting the military for the healthcare industry, which led to a whole crap load of opioid addictions. The Clinton Foundation, being there for everybody, making deals with this leader, that leader, including leaders like in wherever it was, the Czech Congo or just Congo or the Cameroon or whatever, Nigeria, some president over there in Africa, making sure all his people get inoculated, and the Clintons looking holier than thou, until one day that same president who's shaking hands with the Clintons gets busted for taking bribes from blood diamond runners. And it's like, what? But yeah, that's what happens. You get people on both sides, the Democrats and the Republican side, who are doing these phenomenal things, so-called phenomenal things, but they come with these god-awful catches and circumstances and horrible results sometimes, from opioid addiction to, oppression to, shut down corporations and warehouses and factories. And I say, well, that's the Democrats. Well, not really. The most notable is noticed by the Democrats, like in Michigan and Baltimore, which is not a state, it's just a city. But everything else, New Mexico, Missouri, Louisiana, who are all in the shipping trade, as long as they're, because they're Louisiana, they're in the shipping trade. They should be raking in billions a year. They should be raking in billions with their Gulf port side, say Gulf side state. Florida they shouldn't be relying on tourism. Florida should be relying on trade. But there they are, leaving the poor, making the poor poorer and the rich wealthy and everything. And, you got glam in Miami, and then you got slums right in the inner cities. So it cuts both ways, this greed and this corruption. Michigan is one of the more noticeable ones. That happens to be a Democrat-run state, sure. But nobody on the other side can judge. So back to people with power, we're looking at them now trying to get some justice done. But keep in mind, it's over Donald Trump, a personality, somebody that was part of the fold, not necessarily working the machine. Let it go. But, what do I know? I'm just a guy down here at the bottom. And everybody else who sees this is pretty much in there with me. So, as far as round one goes, they did everything that we expected. Now they have to start upping the game. They have to start instilling it. Democrats have to instill the law into all of our minds. The Republicans have to persuade otherwise in the name of the law in all our minds. So with that, I say good luck, and we'll see where this goes. Right now, it's going to be about 2 days of testimony, I think, just for the Democrats, and then later on everything else. So that's what's going on down here at the bottom, at the shallow end of the pool, here in the USA. From this San Antonian's point of view, here in Texas. Hope to see many of you, wherever you are, comment. And if you can't start it right now, at least throw something in the comments. Let me hear from you. Let me see how far I'm off or how far you're off. Let's see how our overview of everything is, especially if you're like me, just small time, nobody, just with an opinion. Okay? Comment if you like what you're hearing so far, like it, subscribe, and I'll send you more comments. Thank you so much for your time. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe out there. We'll see you later.